Hi friends, myself Aditya Sharma. I have secured AIR 4 in GATE 2020 in Civil Engineering. I would like to state that I was part of IES Master Weekend Classroom program and I did not join any other institute for my GATE preparation. Further, I relied majorly on IES Master study material and did not take any support from any other study notes. Thank you.
Well done, Aditya. You have secured such a wonderful rank in GATE 2020 from Civil Engineering branch.
Thank you, sir.
Aditya, it's a huge success. So, what according to you worked for you in GATE 2020?
Well, sir, I gave GATE exam in 2019 as well, and that time I secured a rank of 490. But that time I did it through self-study. This time I took coaching from IES Master in Noida Center, and I believe that was one big plus point for me. And also the experience of giving GATE. I think this was the third time I gave GATE. So that experience culminated with the coaching that I got here, resulted in this success.
So, Aditya, which batch you were part of at IES Master Noida Center?
Sir, I was part of the weekend batch at Noida Center of IES Master, 2018 to 2019.
And Aditya, which year you did your BTech and from which college?
Well, I did my BTech in Civil Engineering from IIT Roorkee and I passed out in 2018.
So, Aditya, can you tell us a little about what made the difference this time around? Which were the subjects actually you were finding difficult, which actually worked for you this time around?
My weakest subjects were transportation engineering and steel structures. And luckily at IES Master, we had great faculty for both of these subjects, and I think that has improved a lot. Second, this time I was more serious about the test series which I gave. I gave it more diligently, and I think so my weak points were eliminated and I got enough practice to build up my accuracy. And these are the reasons I guess that I could score much better this year.
Aditya, academics is one part, doing is one part. Other than this is also, GATE also involves a kind of mind game. So what according to you is the mind game and how actually you work for it?
I guess if we pay attention to GATE, GATE doesn't have many questions. It has just 65 questions, and if you compare it with any other exam for say engineering services, the number of questions is very low, and you have a scientific calculator available as well. So the main game of GATE is to maintain your accuracy. Even a slight mistake, 1 mark or 2 mark error can reduce your rank by double digits or even triple digits. So I guess this is the biggest game that GATE plays with you, that because of the huge amount of competition and less amount of questions, your accuracy has to be foolproof.
So what worked for you when you say accuracy? So what were the specific things, if you can quote 1, 2, 3, these were the things actually you incorporated to have that accuracy going?
I think for accuracy, as Sir Kanchan sir always used to say in class, that always have a timer when you are solving any question. So throughout the last year, I had this policy that whenever I will solve any question, suppose I'm solving 5 objectives, but I will always have a timer for that. So now what happens is when you have a timer, so you always have this time foundation with you. So you don't procrastinate, you work faster, and slowly and gradually you develop accuracy. The second biggest plus point this year is that I took a lot of tests, and because of these many test series that I gave, slowly and gradually I could improve my accuracy because of that.
And can you tell us a little about that preparation part that you did? So while you were doing things back at your workplace, at your home, staying, so how actually systematically what used to be a schedule and specifically putting in certain processes to work upon specifically with regard to GATE? So what were the things that you did?
Well, I was more of a nocturnal animal, so generally I used to study at night. I don't advise people to do that. I believe that whatever suits your time, you should do it. But I used to study at night, throughout the night, and used to, on a good day, I could study in 8 to 10 hours. And I used to have my weekend coaching at IES Master. So I used to go there, and for the 5 days, I used to complete whatever homework was given to me and whatever extra notes I could make. So this was my process, that for 2 days classes and for the next 5 days I will just focus on what was covered there so that no backlog is left.
So you were making short notes.
Absolutely, I made short notes myself.
And can you give us an insight into the making of short note, how you went about it?
Yes, for short notes, I would see short notes are something that you have to revise at the last moment. So first thing that you have to make sure is that your short note should remain short. Sometimes what happens is that when you go for making short notes, they become too lengthy. You try to include everything. You try to include solved examples in them, and this will defeat the whole purpose of making short notes. And also, short notes will always be personal. Like, I cannot go and buy short notes from a market, because what is important to me and what I remember is something that only I know. So these are the few things you have to keep in mind. And while making short notes, I used to have generally two references. One was the material that was given to me by IES Master and the class notes. Based on these two, I used to make my short notes. Now, in short notes, suppose for example, I am making, suppose deflection notes I am making. So now I will draw a cantilever, the slope, the delta, the deflection. Now for all different categories, I will make a table, and in this way I will complete my short notes. A couple of them would be some solved examples which I find are repetitive. So maybe I will add them also. But rather than including them as questions, I would include them as facts. So this is the kind of short notes I used to make. Also, always keep lot of spaces between your short notes, so that when you're giving test series, when you're giving more questions and other facts you incorporate, so that by the time you have your paper, your short notes become very holistic.
Aditya, another very important facet of preparation is discipline. That is at the heart of it. Once you have decided upon your schedule, how you stick to it. So Aditya, how you maintain your discipline and what kept you motivated?
Well, personally, I believe that I was jobless. I used to have a job in 2018, then I left it and then I started studying. So obviously that was one pressure that the society has, that you are unemployed at home. So that in itself motivates you to study hard. Second thing is that when you see, I always had studious friends with me, and so they also used to motivate me a lot. My parents used to motivate me a lot. And these are the only things that gave me discipline. And I had a habit of studying from my IIT preparation days only.
So what kind of studious friends were there, and how actually that chemistry worked out?
Well, most of them were students, fellow students from IIT or from IES Master only. And luckily, they also have secured good ranks. And mostly our talks used to be about, what test series are going on, what is the material, sometimes sharing doubts, and sometimes just talking about other things as well. But this is that camaraderie you have among your friends which motivates you and keeps you disciplined, keeps you on track.
And Aditya, you were staying all these days during the duration of your preparation with the family only?
Yes, sir. I was staying with my parents during this preparation.
And you basically come from Ghaziabad?
Yes, I belong to Ghaziabad, and the Noida center was very close to my home. So that was the advantage I had.
Right. So Aditya, other than this, another very important facet is how it's more of an art actually preparing for exams like GATE or ES. So one is like calculating risk, picking up right questions, taking right advices. Now these things are actually perfected in the classroom environment, or as you said, amongst your friends. So now once having done so well in GATE 2020, once you look back, so what according to you, how would you describe it now when you look back to the days when you started your classes at IES Master? What actually worked for you? One thing if you can point out.
Well, one thing that actually worked for me was that even before joining classes, I used to study the same topics. But sometimes you miss out on very small, intricate points. You sometimes leave them, you don't understand the importance of them. But when you actually attend classes, you get a clear insight of what is important and what can be neglected at the last moment. So I think this demarcation, which I didn't have this vision that I didn't have before was now introduced to me by the teachers of IES Master. So looking back, I believe the biggest positive I could get from this coaching was this insight from the teachers that how to study and which things are more important, which somehow I was lacking before while studying on my own.
So Aditya, was there a target in your mind while you were on the day when you were attempting the paper?
Well, I was scoring well in the test series. I was getting rank in single digits. So definitely I was expecting a good rank. But it was always told to me by my teachers and by my seniors that never have a target in your mind, because the difficulty of paper will vary year to year. So if you go in the paper that, okay, I have to score 85 or I have to score 80 or 90, so it may happen that you end up scoring a lot of negative marks. So I always try to answer the questions based on their merit, and I didn't have any target for marks, but obviously I wanted to have a good rank, maybe below 50. So I'm lucky that I was able to achieve that.
So Aditya, once GATE 2020 paper flashed on the computer screen, what was the first impression? Easy, difficult, what was it?
Well, the first question was quite easy. I had a simple arithmetic progression problem was there of maths, and slowly and gradually questions were easier. One vocabulary question I didn't knew, so I left it. But slowly and gradually I realized by midway that the paper is quite easy and I need to attempt more or less the whole paper. It was tougher than the last year I gave in 2019 as well.
And what was the caution you applied in case if paper is easy, generally you end up committing silly mistakes. So how did you see to it to avoid those silly mistakes?
Actually, for silly mistakes, this year the paper was quite easy. So I could attempt the whole paper in 2.5 hours. So I still had half an hour left with me. So I could go back to most of the numerical questions again. And it helped me a lot as well, because many of the questions that I corrected in the second time were right at the second time. So I could improve my marks. So, but still we should always try that in the first attempt only that we get the right answer.
So when it came to in 2.5 hours, literally you attempted the entire question paper and then half an hour you kept for the revision, right?
Yes.
And what was the process, exact process that you applied for revising? Did you did the calculation all over again, or how did you go about it?
No. See, some of the questions you are absolutely dead sure that okay, these are right. But some questions you make intelligent guess. Some questions you leave. And there are some questions which you may do some direct formula that you may remember. So at the second time when you're revising, you only have to look at those questions in which you did an intelligent guess or which you are not really sure. Things you are dead sure, you don't need to look at them again and again. So suppose out of 65 questions, there were 15 questions that I would have to go back again to. Those you can mark as it's an online paper, you can always mark them with blue. You'll mark them for review.
Aditya, now talking specifically of section 1. So I have two questions here. One, how was it in comparison to the last year, and how did it went for you?
For me, the section 1 difficulty was quite same from the last year only, and coincidentally I have scored the same marks in last year also and this year also. I just couldn't answer one vocabulary question that missed this year also. So I don't pay much heed to it. I believe that language being so vast, it may be possible that one or two questions may not strike you at that point. But I do advise that if any logical reasoning question you are struck at it, you should leave it for that and focus on other questions. Come back to it again. Maybe it will strike you the next time.
And Aditya, how about section 2?
Section 2 was much easier, I believe, from the last year. Maybe my preparation has improved. That can also be a reason that I may be feeling that it is easier. But I do believe that it was moderately easier than last year. And whenever the paper is easier, you have to attempt more and you have to take care of your accuracy as well.
So in otherwise this very easy GATE 2020 paper, according to you, Aditya, what was the most difficult moment while attempting paper?
The most difficult moment was one mathematics question that came up and I couldn't solve it. And so I had to use brute force, and basically I used some standard functions and tried to fit values in it. I had enough time, luckily, that it could work for me. So, so I think that was the only moment when I actually sweated over it. But even then, I did some very silly mistakes, and no matter how much you try to avoid it, there will be a couple of questions which you could have done better. So,
And Aditya, otherwise in overall preparation, like what now when you look back was the most difficult moment in your entire span of preparation?
I think the biggest difficult moment for me would be to keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself happy and not get distracted. Sometimes what happens is that we start comparing ourselves with others. This used to happen with me a lot. Sometimes your friends will achieve success faster than you, so you may start feeling, I would say, a bit insecure about yourself. So, but now looking back, I believe that those were wasted times. I should have, rather than focusing on those things, I should have studied more. And this is my only advice to people, that the biggest challenge you are going to face whenever you are studying for these exams, be it GATE or be it ESE, it would be to stay self-motivated. So try to do that.
So Aditya, speaking of your family, how this staying back with your parents, how you were able to strike that very delicate emotional balance, and how you kept yourself motivated. I mean, it's one amongst the most important things aspirant they need to know, especially of NADA Center.
Well, luckily, I've been blessed with very good parents who have always been supportive to me throughout my life, throughout my academic career. And even during this 1 year and being unemployed, even though I was a graduate from IIT, so there's a certain stigma in our society as well. But they were always supportive to me, and they also helped me to maintain my discipline. Suppose they could always sense that if I'm sad, if I'm not working as I hard as I should, so they were, even then today they are like that, okay, you need to work harder, or today you are not focused, what's wrong? So this balance I had, this support I always had in my life, that no matter what went no matter what went wrong, I always have my parents with me. And I believe this is very important for any candidate who is studying, because success and failure, that depends a lot on luck as well. And so that is why you should have a support system to lean back to if something goes wrong during your preparation.
Aditya, tell us a little about your family.
Yes, my father is an economics teacher. He teaches in Delhi government school, and my mother performs household duties.
Aditya, what is it like? What is the life like at IIT Roorkee?
IIT Roorkee is one of the best educational institutes you can go to in this country. It is also the oldest engineering college of this country, and especially renowned for civil engineering. I was quite lucky to get a seat there, and we had really good teachers there, good practicals, and good exposure for internships as well. So I think my 4 years at IIT also helped me to improve my basics and good sports. And IIT is also blessed with good sports facilities and good weather. So I really look back and with happiness when I look back at my 4 years of graduation.
You spoke of sports. So, Aditya, what were the extracurricular activities you were involved in year-wise, if you can tell me?
Well, year-wise, in the first year at IIT Roorkee, I started going for NCC, National Cadet Corps. Then from second to third year, I did weightlifting, but due to certain elbow injuries, I had to leave it. And I also am a painter, so I, during my free time, even today, to relax myself, I do painting.
Now, speaking specifically of, say, students, what is it at IIT Roorkee where actually you have such fabulous engineers like you and especially doing so well with civil engineering? Give us a little insight into the classroom as to how it goes about and what produces such fabulous engineers like you.
I think the thing with any institute is the culture it develops during its time. The point with IIT Roorkee is that throughout the years it has produced many good IAS officers, good IAS officers, and even good professors. So the point is that they have a lineage toward academics, and that is why from your seniors, from your juniors, you always have this rapport going on, where you can form study circles and you can easily mingle and have groups. that is why I believe that IIT Roorkee stands out other than other colleges.
Now, Aditya, you were part of a weekend batch doing classes regularly at IES Master. So, give us a sense of what is the classroom like and how has been your experience with IES Master faculty?
Well, IES Master is easily the best coaching center I've joined, and before that, I was during my IIT days also I had taken coaching. The teachers are absolutely fabulous. Especially, I would like to mention Kanchan sir. He is an absolute boss when it comes to civil engineering. I have never seen even in my IIT anyone even close to the kind of grip he has over his concepts. And I believe that these were the things that I was lacking when I was doing self-study. That these small concepts, small things that you just brush past. And during my stay at IES Master, I think I was able to come out of it and could study in depth, which is, I believe, required for both ESE as well as GATE.
And give us a sense of how it is like reading IES Master books.
IES Master books, I have read other coaching books also, and one thing that strikes out for IES Master is that they are very articulate, they are quite exhaustive as well. If you are using the books of IES Master, I don't think you need to have any other source, and they can be your single source for both ESE as well as GATE. One more thing I would like to add is that there is hardly any errors in the books, which may be a problem if you take from some other coachings.
Now, you were test series as well, you were writing there. So, what was generally your rank? And give us a little experience how test series worked for you.
Well, for test series, generally my rank used to be within top 20, top 30, and sometimes in single digits also, sometimes first also. So that's where I used to be during this time. But I always believe that when you are giving test series, your motive should never be to come first, to score highest. Your motive should always be that whatever you have done, whatever questions you know or what you didn't know, they are added to your question bank, and those mistakes you don't repeat in the future. So that should be your main motive when you are doing the test series.
Aditya, one very peculiar thing about GATE is the day you decide about that you are going to go for this exam or ES or any exam like this, it's a call of leadership actually. And one very important motivating factor is the presence of faculty in class. So give us a little idea as to how that leadership, how it goes about, especially say you quoted Kanchan sir, so how that element of leadership is translated and actually it's dispersed in the environment there at IES Master classroom.
Well, this reminds me that suppose Kanchan sir or Ayush sir, if they are going to ask questions in the class, and suppose you are able to answer them quickly, so the next thing that will come to you will be a more difficult question, and if you are able to answer that, and it will be followed by a more difficult question, and in this way, so there is always this pushing the boundaries, which is done by teachers on you, and I think that also is quite fun when you enjoy it a lot and you develop a rapport with teachers as well. The one thing that I really liked about IES Master teachers, all of them, was that they were very easy to talk to. You can meet them outside, you can easily discuss your doubts. I never waited for my doubts. Whatever doubt I had, I used to always clear them the next week itself. So I'm really happy that I took it.
And Aditya, how would you remember IES Master Noida Center?
Well, I will always remember that first with the face of Kanchan sir, because he was my first teacher there. He started teaching solid mechanics, and I will always remember it as a coaching center that gave me both warmth as well as a good study environment, where which was always open for advice.
Now, Aditya, everyone looks on to this bright, positive side, right? Especially when you are such a success. So, what I would like to ask is, especially for the students of IIT Roorkee, your juniors preparing for competitive exams, what would be your message? How they should go about these exams?
Well, it's always said that you should, whenever you're preparing for these exams, try to start as early as possible. The biggest mistake I made was that I was quite late after even graduating and doing job for a few months. After that, I started taking my coaching. If in retrospect I would like to change anything, it would be that I will go to this coaching center 2 years earlier. So I think the biggest thing that I would like to say to my juniors would be that if you are preparing for these exams, these are difficult exams with a lot of competition and lot of syllabus. So be an early bird and try to start your preparation as soon as possible. Most probably in third or second year.
Aditya, the maturity, the calmness, the motivation, the temperament, the attitude, your emotional settings, and your overall understanding, it's absolutely wonderful. So I see this story going long way, actually starting from gate. So gate's just going to be starting. Tell me, what are
Thank
your
you.
short term, medium term, and long term goals?
Well, my short-term goal after GATE would definitely be getting a decent PSU. By decent, most of them are good only, and I would be lucky to be in any of them. But I'm especially targeting PSUs which are core for civil engineering, like NBCC and NHI, for my short-term goal. And my long-term goal would be that right now I'm preparing for mains of ESE. So if everything goes right, I would like to become an IES officer this year.
And Aditya, the kind of person you are, the kind of personality that you owe, how would you describe yourself otherwise as a social being?
Well, I'm a bit of a loner. I don't have much friends, and but I believe that when you are preparing for these exams, it sometimes serves as an advantage to you because it's I generally you will see people will always tell you that don't go in your shell, don't have be an extrovert. But I believe that when you are preparing for these government exams, the number of hours you need to put in, it's better to be an introvert. And luckily, I believe I am an introvert. And most of my, I would say, entertainment comes out from painting or watching YouTube videos and all.
And what kind of paintings?
I generally paint landscapes. I was a big fan of Bob Ross and all.
And is it a oil painting, hand sketch, or what kind of painting you do?
Acrylics and oils.
Great. And from where actually you picked up all these things?
Well, slowly and gradually. I mean, paintings have been going on from school only, and weightlifting I picked up in IIT Roorkee. So slowly and gradually these things came along.
It is very contrasting, don't you think so, Aditya? Painting on one side and weightlifting on the other side.
It reminds me of a Japanese author, Yukio Mishima. In an essay, he said that soul and mind, the strength of body and strength of mind should go hand in hand. So maybe I'm trying to do that.
And while during your preparation, you did take this thing, keeping that health and keeping your fitness also.
Well, my health did suffer between some time because I had an accident. But slow. But yes, run. I used to run for 15 minutes to 20 minutes a day, and sometimes I used to go for weight training. I didn't leave it completely. So this is one thing I kept on doing. So that because see, you just don't have to clear the exam. You have to clear the medicals for PSUs and ESE as well. So make sure that certain amount of fitness stays with you. You don't have to bend irons, but at least try to have a minimum amount of fitness.
Aditya, you have been such a special student of IES Master. I have so many more questions, but I'll keep it for future. Thank you so much. May you achieve all your dreams and make your parents even more proud. Thank you. Wish you the very best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you, sir.